I appreciate everybody joining us today. As Kevin mentioned, we're going to just review a couple comments relative to the business technology shift that we're seeing within the market, primarily within mid-sized companies. And then we'll jump in to take a look at NetSuite in action. So looking at capturing a website lead, the lead to order process, order to cash, and then looking at reporting and dashboards to really kind of help us see how what our return on investment is on the particular marketing campaign that we're going to be working through today. So in terms of those comments that we were discussing, over the years we've seen shifts in terms of business technology through multiple platforms, kind of starting with the bottom and moving up to the top where, we've moved through the mainframe, the LAN, internet/client server platforms, and moved really up into that third platform where we see a lot of companies leveraging systems that are in the cloud today. Much of the app development that's going on, again, happening with products and with systems that are cloud-based applications. Really, we're seeing from a client server standpoint, if you look at that platform too, much of the application development and those kinds of things that are going on with those types of applications are more in maintenance mode, whereas you see a lot of users migrating, a lot of developers migrating into that third platform and developing products around that. Undeniable growth in that third platform sector relative to cloud services. As you can see, kind of last year 15% growth within that environment, while the other platforms are declining slightly in their growth. So a major movement towards those cloud-based applications and systems. So what's really driving that change? You think looking at it from the context of business in terms of preferring productivity over hiring and throwing more people at it. Businesses are looking for systems that will help them gain efficiency and will help them increase productivity as opposed to, again, bringing on additional staff and incurring that additional expense. From the context of the leaders, really preferring a unified system, a unified business application over those solutions that are really departmentalized. A particular application or solution, if you will, per department, which creates, from an overall solution perspective, sort of a siloed solution. Where you're having to run through and develop integrations and put extra effort and work into doing those kinds of things and maintaining those integrations. Really, from the context of the leaders as well, preferring an anytime, anywhere, any device type access to their current business application. So really giving them increased flexibility. IT folks are looking at systems that don't require you to go through those typical upgrades that you're having to go through every year and a half to 2 years. Those upgrades really become projects where you're having to run through test upgrades to validate functionality, to ensure that customizations that were written for prior versions will be compatible with the next version that you're moving up into. Some companies are preferring not to go through that process and become version locked in the application or the solution that they're currently using. And then from the context of money, we see a driver relative to understanding cost certainty and understanding the upfront costs relative to the subscription-based model as opposed to encountering kind of those unbudgeted expenses relative to a particular, say you have a drive array that goes bad or something goes bad relative to hardware and you've got to replace that unit. So putting things in context in terms of the kind of the concern that we see out there, which FMT obviously likes to step in and help with these things and help the business move forward with the transition to the cloud, is really the context of change. How will moving or transitioning to the cloud affect the business? Also, it's relatively new technology. There's lots of things going on and lots of development taking place. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of moving to those cloud applications? From the context of the business readiness, so making sure that we're prepared to make that transition, and if we want to make that transition or when we want to make that transition, where do we actually start? The good news is most of you are already in the cloud relative to at least a component of the solutions that you're using from a business application standpoint. As you can see there to the left, there are several things that that really take us to the cloud already with Office 365 and iCloud and OneDrive and those kinds of things. So a lot of online social media interaction as well as online services that are available that a lot of small to medium businesses are using today. And many folks, as you can see to the right there, are already using those mobile devices. So they're already using their iPhone and their iPad and their Android device and their tablet to access applications. So leveraging that flexibility and being able to get into those applications using those mobile devices whenever they want to. So looking at the current landscape, FMT as a consulting firm, we're out there quite a bit working with mid-sized businesses and small businesses as well and helping them determine what their solution should look like. But we frequently run into, with some of our clients, those departmentalized solutions that I was talking about earlier, or those siloed solutions where we've got a separate back office system, a separate front office system, and maybe we've got a separate demand planning system as well as integration to some kind of e-commerce or web store product. So when you're using or implementing those disparate, when you've implemented those disparate systems, there's obviously a lot of integration that needs to happen, or there's a lot of manual processing between the systems, and we all know that manual processing leads to potential data validation issues. So even us as a firm, as a consulting firm with an ERP team as well as development team, we're frequently dealing with a lot of the red wires that you see here in this image, relative to making sure that those integration contact points are working properly and helping clients if they run into an issue where their back office and their front office are no longer communicating because of an integration issue. So we see this landscape, if you will, this image quite a bit out there in the mid-market today. So how do we improve that? One of the application we'll look at today is actually NetSuite, and NetSuite is an application it's a unified business system. So it represents a single source of the truth through its single data source, where it out of the box is integrated from a financials and an e-commerce and a CRM standpoint. So those modules are already set to talk to each other. They're already set and they're already completely integrated within, again, a unified business system. So everything feeding into that single data source that you see in the middle, and addressing the needs of the organization from all the different positions that you see on your screen there. Also pulling in, if you'd like, partners of the business. So we can configure NetSuite to provide access to our suppliers and our customers through customer portals, and our partners through partner portals to have access to certain components of the NetSuite application. So we can further that tight-knit integration between the business and the business partners. So if everybody's ready, we'll jump in and we'll actually take a look at NetSuite in action in that unified business application that we're talking about. Part of doing that today, we're actually going to leverage the lead to cash story, starting with the actual website in a sample company. So I'm going to share a different screen out, if you folks will bear with me for just one moment while I switch that over. So up on your screens you should see the NetSuite application. This is actually the home page of NetSuite, where I've got certain portlets set up. This is all these portlets together create a dashboard where I can see information like sales orders, a list of sales orders that are billed or pending billing, my various marketing campaigns. So I've got another portlet here that's showing me a marketing or multiple marketing campaigns. The one we're actually going to be looking at today is the new registration promotion campaign, which has a transaction count of 66 and 170K in terms of dollars associated to it, if you will. I have some things over to the left here relative to smaller portlets where I can see information in terms of top 5 items that are sold, recent records that I've visited, some reminders here. I've got 52 opportunities to close. We'll actually leverage this reminder portal here in the near future to look at how we can see that we got a new lead from within the system. So really that home page of the application brings everything together. This is customizable. As you can see up here at the top right, I can personalize this dashboard based on my particular user and the access that I have to the system. All right, so kind of stepping back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, we're going to start with capturing a lead within the website. Looking at the website component of things, now NetSuite, as I said, it's a unified, integrated application. So the Suite Commerce component of NetSuite is integrated within the NetSuite application. So right here within this particular company that I've logged into, which is Gill Inc., I can access and I can look at my website, and I can even alter my website and move things around if need be. So to demonstrate that, we're going to jump right into the site preview screen. So we'll jump into Setup, go down to Site Builder, and we're going to go to Preview Website. So again, everything I'm doing today, I'm doing within the NetSuite application. So we're going to preview that site. So here we've actually leveraged the Suite Commerce, or the e-commerce module of NetSuite, to display our company, Gill Inc. website. And we've laid out our various categories and featured products within the website. One of the things that we're going to talk about today that really help us leverage the integration between Suite Commerce and the NetSuite CRM component is our customer online form. The way we get down to that here in this instance is we go down to the Contact Us hyperlink, and it actually brings up our Contact Us page. Now this page is what we refer to in NetSuite as an online customer form. Really, the online customer form, it can be, as you see here, integrated with NetSuite's web store. It can also be integrated with an external website. But the online customer form is really the form that it's used in sales and marketing campaigns. So it's actually connected to a particular marketing campaign through configuration. And it's the CRM entry point into NetSuite. So let's look at how those two are integrated. So here we're on our Contact Us online customer form. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up for now and jump over back into NetSuite. And we'll take a look at some of that setup that I'm talking about. So if I jump into Setup, Marketing, and we go over to Online Customer Forms, we can see right here a list of multiple customer forms or online customer forms that we've created. The one that we're using in this particular demonstration is our external Contact Us form. So let's pull that up. Over to the left, you can see the various fields that we just saw over on the online customer form: first name, last name, company name, all the information that we're interested in gathering as a lead or a prospect jumps onto our website and starts to fill out that information. We can make some of those fields mandatory, indicate which ones need to be lists from a selection standpoint, which of those fields will actually update the customer record as it gets created through automation in NetSuite, and then which of those fields actually update the contact as well. Over here in the Setup Workflow tab, we can determine how this online customer form is actually going to behave. So in this particular instance, we have this form. Any lead that comes in through this form is going to have a status of new, right? Lead new. We've also associated this particular form with the new registration promotion. And then we've said down here that we want to notify that sales rep whenever a lead comes in. So we're going to do an email notification when a lead comes in that's assigned to a particular sales rep. So using the online customer form really leverages a lot of great capability from within NetSuite. So we've got, and as we've shown here, an automatic workflow process so that once that lead is submitted through the website, it will come right into NetSuite as a lead. Then based on some sales rules and sales routing preferences, which we'll look at here in just a second, we can actually, like we've noted here, send an email or notify a particular sales rep or set a create a reminder relative to, hey, you got a new lead that you need to address. And then as that lead makes their first order, as we process that order from within NetSuite, we can see here that we'll move from the initial status to a new status, and we'll see that that transition here in just a little bit as well. The great thing though is, we can recognize, we can set up which promotion actually drove that lead from the website, and we can track that. We can track that down to every record via the contact or the customer or any transaction associated to that online customer form or that initial lead, so that we can start to see how many sales orders have I generated based on that particular marketing campaign, or how many opportunities do I have out there, how many proposals do I have out there relative to that particular marketing campaign that we have going on. Okay, so a couple other things I just wanted to show the group very quickly relative to how we can, again, make sure we're assigning the lead to the appropriate resource through a series of sales rules, or a particular sales rule that we set up, and sales territories, which again in NetSuite don't have to be geographical regions, but can be. There's flexibility there. Through these sales rules and sales territories, we can actually drive that that lead to a particular sales rep or to a given sales territory. So here we've set up a rule for this demonstration called industry type of hardware. If I drill into that rule just a bit here, if you don't mind me doing that, we can see that for this particular rule called industry type hardware, so where the criteria is any of, in this case we've selected hardware, but we can have multiple selections here. In this case, where we've got a selection of hardware, it'll actually drive the particular. We can associate this rule to the territory, and then that will drive the lead that comes in to a given sales rep. Okay, we can see that pretty clearly by jumping into the sales territory and drilling back on that. And you can see that for this sales territory of industry type hardware, we've applied the rule that we just looked at, and the assignment there is that particular rep. So Paul Clayton is the particular rep that this lead will be assigned to if it comes in and meets all the characteristics of that industry type rule that we've set up. All right, so enough of the setup. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a background on how those things can flow properly into from your website into NetSuite. So jumping back in to our Contact Us form, let's go ahead and put in our information relative to, if I put a hat on right now, I'm a potential customer or a lead that has jumped onto Gil's website, and I'm putting in my information because I'm very interested in some products or a product that I want them to contact me with regard to. So maybe this is Turner Electronics, the email address mt@electronics.com. So industry type, so there's that trigger, right, where we select the hardware. So Mark has come in, he select the hardware type, so that's going to initiate the rule and territory workflow that we've set up. Let's put in our address information. Just call it Turner Street. City is Los Angeles. State, California. Throw a zip code in there. Get the telephone number going. Website. And a little message. Please contact me regarding your newest product line. Okay, so we get that. Oops, we get that submitted. Okay, your message was sent, so it's actually notified us that the message has been sent, so that lead is now going to get processed into the NetSuite application. So I'm going to take off my Mark Turner hat. I'm going to put on my my sales hat, and I'm going to jump into NetSuite, where again I've got my home page and my reminders portlet and everything kind of in front of me that I need to keep an eye on as the day is progressing and as new tasks come in for me. All right, so we've actually processed that lead from the website. So let's kind of jump into the next component of this, which is generating an order from that lead. All right, so over on my reminders portlet, if I jump over here, I can go ahead and refresh that portlet. If I do that, it tells me I've got one new lead in the system that has come up, and that new lead was created as a result of Mark submitting his information through the website. So let's go ahead and click on that. So we'll take a look at that lead and how it looks within NetSuite. So here we've got Turner Electronics. That's my lead out there. We've got the customer that's been set up. Mark Turner is a contact that's actually associated to that particular customer. Okay, we've got all the information that we put down relative to, or that Mark put down relative to the form, the online customer form that he filled out. So sales rep is Paul Clayton. The web address, there's Mark's comment that he put in. Please contact me regarding your newest product line. And notice the status. So the status is lead new. So that's the status that we had set for the workflow on that online marketing form a little bit earlier. Captured some address information. And down here, let's jump into that marketing tab where I'd like to show you that we've captured the lead source. So the new registration promotion. Again, because he came on through that online customer form and we associated that form with that particular marketing campaign, now that campaign actually gets tagged against this particular lead. So we're tracking that all along the way. Okay, so I'm in here now. I've reached out to Mark, had a great conversation with him. I actually want to maybe just want to note that I had that conversation with him. So we can come in here. We can do that through several different ways. We can actually create an activity here, noting that we've had some conversations with Mark. We can actually come over here to this drop-down button up here in terms of the task drop-down button. We can say we had a phone call with Mark. This was a sales follow-up call. Pardon my typing. Okay, we've got the phone number there. It's not a schedule. It's actually we've completed that particular call, so it's marked the date that we've completed it. Some notes relative to that call. So I spoke to Mark. He issued a PO for processing of a sales order. All right. So we can actually save that, and now that record obviously gets tracked against this particular lead. So if we come over into the Communication tab and the Activities subtab, then that particular phone call that we had with Mark is recorded and can be drilled back on to look at the detail. All right. So since Mark gave us a purchase order that we can use to actually generate a sales order, we can do that right from this screen. So again, dropping down to that task icon and down to sales order, I can initiate a sales order right from that lead. So here we got sales order number 625. It's already pulled in the information relative to the company, Turner Electronics. Mark gave me my PO. So I'm going to go ahead and record that purchase order. Some other information is defaulting in relative to order date and customer terms that we've set up to default. Again, lead source, new registration promotion. So this particular sales order, number 625, is tracked against the new registration promotion marketing campaign, automatically assigned to the appropriate sales rep. Okay, so now I can go ahead and start adding my components. Before I do that, I'm just going to select a ship to address. So I got my shipping information in there. And then we'll jump back to the items tab and we'll set up some line items against this. So I'm just going to grab a test inventory item. I can see here we've got 83 available. Mark wanted 10. So we'll go ahead and put that quantity of 10 in at $50, which extends to 500. We can actually leverage the ATP, or available to promise, functionality of NetSuite to be able to see the earliest date in which we can actually ship that product to Mark. So it's easy to see and communicate to Mark that we've got that order, or we've got that stock available. Okay. He can also obviously see that within, if he starts to get into the web store components of the e-commerce site, you can see availability there as well. So now I've added that test inventory item to the sales order. Sales order looks pretty good in terms of its of the way I've set it up here. Now we have some automated approval functionality that we can leverage for sales order within the application. So if we want this sales order to go to individuals within the organization, we can set that up to happen. I'm not going to push it through that workflow now. I'm just going to go ahead and save off this sales order to create it. Okay, so I've clicked the Save button. NetSuite has actually gone out now, and we've saved that sales order. It's a true sales order in the system, and we have this visual up here in terms of kind of the story that we're taking that sales order through. All right, so now that we've created that sales order, we want to keep it moving through the process. Again, a nice smooth flow. Several different ways we can do that. Really, the next step here is to fulfill that sales order based on the inventory demand that's currently sitting on it. So we can actually fulfill a sales order in NetSuite right from the sales order. So we've got that fulfill button right there. We can also go up to the transactions menu under the sales series, and we can fulfill orders from there. I'm going to go ahead and select that option because that option actually gives us a little more visibility relative to how you can fulfill multiple sales orders for a given product within NetSuite. Okay, so we can actually define criteria to fulfill a given order. We can put the order number right there in that field. We can come up here and we can say we're going to bulk fulfill from a specific location. If we do that, then my list goes from a much longer list as it was to a much shorter list of only the sales orders that will be fulfilled from the San Francisco location. Okay, so my sales order was for Turner Electronics. So we're going to go ahead and indicate that we want to fulfill that particular sales order, and we'll submit that. Again, up here at the top, just to mention, there's a lot of other criteria that we can use to pull up a certain subset of sales orders that we want to fulfill, or to really shorten that and zero in on those particular sales orders that we're looking to fulfill. So let me submit that fulfillment. So NetSuite's going to show us that it might queue that up. If we were fulfilling multiple orders, that would be a process that would show us status here. Once I come down here to the bottom right and click refresh, it'll show us that submission status. So now that fulfillment transaction is complete and inventory has been decremented within NetSuite. So let's jump back home. We can take a look at a few more things. So my one new lead, if my home page refreshes, is now gone. Why is that, you might wonder? Well, let's take a quick look. I guess before we do that, too, I'd like to refresh this portlet right up here and show that now I've got another sales order listed in my queue here, or my portlet of my sales orders that needs some attention. We can see that the status here is pending billing. And I have another one up top that has a status of billed. So I've used some of the highlighting features of the NetSuite portlets to really just be able to distinguish between transactions that are in different statuses. So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of capability in terms of how you want to present different transactions on your KPIs or within your portlets so that your dashboard really becomes an interactive dashboard. So if I drill back to that sales order, let's just take a quick look at Turner Electronics, the actual customer. So I can drill back to the customer record from the sales order, and we can see that the status, based on the workflow, has automatically updated to from lead to customer. We've opened up that work order. We've actually fulfilled the work order. So Mark Turner and Turner Electronics is no longer just a lead within our system. That company and that lead has now been converted to a customer. And that, again, happened automatically through that workflow process. Okay. Along the way, let's see if we got an email here. So we did get an email relative to the order has been fulfilled. So I can grab that email, actually pull it up on the screen. So, dear Turner Electronics, this is to inform you that your order has actually been fulfilled. So we can see some information relative to a fulfillment transaction. This is just a standard template. No modifications have been done in terms of the content of this email. The content as far as what you would like that particular notification to say. Obviously, we can we can configure that relative to your wish and make it look like you want it to look. Okay, so definite integration there, again, between NetSuite and Outlook. Okay, so now that we've actually fulfilled that order, really the next step, since we've fulfilled it completely, is to bill that particular order, right? To invoice that order to the customer. Within NetSuite, we can set up customer preferences that say this particular customer would like to have their invoices emailed to them, or they like their invoices printed and mailed to them. So these are preferences that you actually set up on that customer card and that the system will track so that you can, when you do your invoice run, appropriately send that invoice in the right format to your customer. Okay, so just like the fulfillment process, there's, again, several ways to bill or to generate a particular invoice. All right, so I'm going to jump back into my recent documents icon over here. That's the clock over the top left. I can pull up that sales order that I was looking at just a little bit ago. All right, so you can see here that we generated the sales order. We've actually fulfilled that order now, and right from the sales order we can actually invoice it or bill it. We can do that again from the transactions menu, sales, and bill sales orders. Okay, so the first screen we were looking at, you do that on more of a one-off basis. With this particular screen, it looks much like the order fulfillment window. We can actually select the different criteria up there at the header of the screen to be able to zero in on those particular customers that we want to bill. So we get down here, we can come down to whatever customer we select. In this case, I could select Turner Electronics, and it's going to bring that list that was down there at the bottom. It's going to bring up the Turner Electronics invoice. Okay. If we had all, then we could actually select multiple sales orders that we want to generate invoices for. In this case, I'll just do the one. So we've got our Turner Electronics sales order for 5/13 for today. We're going to generate an invoice, and let's submit that. So again, you get the same sort of queue that gets set up that says this invoicing process or batch is running and it's currently in progress. We can refresh that, and now since there was only one document within that batch, we see that it's complete. Okay, so really kind of that last step now that we've actually billed that particular sales order. And actually, before I get to the last step, I do want to step over to the home page, and if we refresh our portlet over here, we can see now that my Turner Electronics sales order has turned to blue because I've actually billed that, that particular sales order. So I can see that the sales orders that I have in my queue are good to go. They've been fulfilled, inventory's been decremented, and the accounting team has actually run it through the billing process as well. All right. So also looking at our new registration promotion, which again the sales order and the invoice are both associated with, we can refresh that and we can see now that we've jumped up a couple transactions. I processed one test one earlier today. So now we have 68 transactions that are processed against our new registration promotion marketing campaign. And we'll look at a couple reports in a little bit that'll help us kind of see how we can track that information and really start to look at the return on investment for a given marketing campaign. Okay, so now we've actually created our invoice. I'm going to jump over into the Turner Electronics customer. So here's our Turner Electronics customer that's come up. I can look at the sales activity in terms of transactions for a given customer by going to the Sales tab on my customer record, Transactions, and here's all my activity that we've actually processed here in just the last few minutes. So there's the 625, there's my sales order, my order fulfillment transaction, as well as my invoice. So I can actually just launch my invoice right from here. Much like we saw in the sales order, we can, and the sales fulfillment transaction, we can accept payment right from the actual invoice document as well. Okay, that's also available through transaction sales. Through transactions. Customers and accept customer payments. We can process that payment through there. On this particular transaction, I'll just process that payment that we received right from the invoice that I have up. So if we click on that Accept Payment button, the NetSuite jumps out and it creates a payment record. So it's created payment record 390 for $500. We can make that a partial payment if you'd like as well, so that we have a remaining amount on that particular invoice. Indicate our payment method. So in this case, I'll say it's a check. We'll put a 6-digit number in there. As far as the check number, the payment's automatically been applied to that particular invoice for $500. So let's save that off. And now we've processed our payment against that invoice. All right, so we've kind of gone through and we've taken that whole process all the way through from lead to order and from order to cash application. So we get that visual. I'll jump back into the kind of the hub of the whole transaction, the sales order here, and we get that whole visual here where we show the sales order, the fulfillment, the invoice, and then the payment. Okay, so we've gone through that whole process now. Let's take a look at some of the things, and we already have actually. We looked at the marketing campaign and we saw the update to our new registration promotion. So again, this portlet I've put out here on my home page is to help me see that, okay, I've got the transaction count, which I've kind of ordered in descending order relative to which marketing campaign has been most successful, down to which has the least number of transactions associated to it. As far as dollars are concerned, I've got that listed over to the right here as well. So for my new registration promotion, I've got 68 transactions and around 170,000 in total dollars associated with that campaign. So I can see that from this perspective here from my home page with my portlet. I can also jump into reports. Okay, and under my marketing reports, I've got some initial reports that'll help me see kind of how I'm doing relative to my campaigns. So I've got a campaign response report here that I'll run. And again, this is the out-of-the-box, no modification, straight up, just out-of-the-box report. Under my paid keywords category, I've got my new registration promotion. So if we open that up, you can see that, this is being run. If I go look down at the bottom left, this is being run as of the previous one quarter. So it's got some from and to dates there. about 8 transactions noted within, or 8 number of responses for that particular campaign. I could drill back into that campaign event and see some more information. So this kind of takes me back into an inquiry type window for this master campaign record. And we can see some statistics around this particular campaign, right? Who's managing the campaign, the start date of it, the total cost of the campaign, expected revenue, which you can see we've certainly exceeded, and then some other information over here relative to total revenue, return on investment, so I'm at 124%. I can see my cost per lead, cost per purchaser, number of purchasers, number of leads generated. So a lot of good information here relative to that particular campaign that we're looking at. So that's one report that kind of presents the information at a high level very nicely. We've got another one in here, which is sales by lead source. Remember, we set that lead source when we actually set up the online customer form. So in this case, my lead source here is my new registration promotion, right? That was the one we were looking at a little bit earlier. I get $850 in terms of transaction total associated to that. This one we're just looking at, 513 to 513. So we're just looking at today for this particular report. So you can see that down at the bottom left in the filter area of the report. I can drill back on that $850 and we can see information relative to what's been processed today. So I have actually 2 transactions that came in through the website, and we generated leads and ultimately converted to customers and generated the orders for that new registration promotion marketing campaign. One for $350 and one for $500. And then from here we've got the built-in drill back capability from the report into the actual transaction again that we've processed as we're moving through this. So again, there's the invoice relative to our Turner Electronics transaction. Okay, so that's really that whole lead to cash story, and kind of we've moved through that whole process. So let's do a little bit of recap here in terms of what we've seen. So I'm going to jump right back into my PowerPoint, so if you bear with me one second, I'll actually move this screen over to another screen that I'm sharing. Okay, so there's my PowerPoint. So just in terms of a recap, kind of looking at what we did. So NetSuite is, as I mentioned earlier, a unified business system. We captured that website lead through the online customer form. Right? We had some automated workflow set up behind that online customer form, which we leveraged to then push that lead right into NetSuite. That lead was updated into a customer status when we created and fulfilled that sales order. Right? And then from that sales order, we actually generated the invoice and processed payment against that invoice. And then we leveraged our reporting and dashboards, in this case, some portlets that we had set up within our home page of NetSuite, the reminders portlet, the current marketing campaigns portlet that we saw, as well as my sales orders portlet, to really help us analyze and see what came in from our new registration promotion marketing campaign. So we're actually able to look at that activity and understand our return on investment at a high level in terms of what we looked at today for that particular marketing campaign. So lots of good things there in terms of what we were able to do as far as one system, one unified business system. Everything that we did today, we did within our NetSuite demonstration instance for Gill Inc. Okay, so you guys have seen it in action, and now it's time to take some action. So I've got a couple bullet points up there in terms of how FMT can help. If you're interested in learning more about NetSuite and its capabilities, We can do a leadership team briefing or business requirements session with you, a high-level business requirements session, to start understanding what your needs are and to maybe answer some of those questions that we talked about earlier about advantages and disadvantages of the cloud and cloud-based applications. NetSuite is really only one of the cloud applications that FMT implements as full ERP business solutions. We also do others. Also, we like to sometimes put together an evaluation plan for you that helps you kind of start, figure out where you need to start in terms of transitioning your business into that cloud-based application. One thing I wanted to note down there at the bottom of the slide, really just we're starting, this is a series of webinars that we're starting. It's about 10 webinars that will go on various dates from starting from today all the way through August. So we really invite you all to head on out to our website and take a look at what we've scheduled. Our next webinar is scheduled for May the 29th at 11 o'clock Pacific, where we'll be doing a deeper dive into Suite Commerce. You saw a little bit of it today in terms of the website that was integrated with NetSuite. But this is really a deeper dive into setting up the site and shopping cart type features and functionality, checkout process, as well as some My Account type features that are available within the application. So we're really excited to provide that webinar for you. And again, that's the first of 2 sessions. So there'll be a NetSuite Suite Commerce session 1, and then 2 weeks later, it might be a little bit longer than 2 weeks, but shortly thereafter we'll be providing a second session where we'll be doing that deeper dive as well. That will be presented by Ilya Budimir, who's an FMT Senior ERP Consultant for FMT Consultants, so we're excited to have him do that for us. All right, well that concludes our webinar for today in terms of looking at NetSuite in action and as a unified business solution. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to join us, and I wish everybody a great day. Thank you.